What if the answer to some of humanity's greatest mysteries, the origins of languages, the spread of ancient civilizations, and even the movements of our ancestors, lay hidden in one region's DNA? A region that's been a cultural, technological, and genetic crossroads for thousands of years. Welcome to the Caucasus, a land where continents meet, mountains stretch towards the sky, and history whispers from every corner. Imagine this millennia ago. As humans migrated out of Africa and began settling across the globe, the Caucasus stood at the heart of their journeys. Positioned between the Black and Caspian Seas, this region served as a natural bridge connecting Europe, Asia, and the Near East. It became a melting pot of cultures, where farmers from Anatolia mingled with herders from the steppe, and where technological innovations like the wheel and metallurgy first spread across continents. But beyond the history books lies an even deeper story, a story encoded in the DNA of the people who lived here. Today, archaeogenetics has given us a powerful tool to unravel these ancient mysteries. By analyzing DNA, preserved in bones buried for thousands of years, scientists are piecing together a remarkable tale of migrations, cultural exchanges, and even the origins of modern populations. And at the heart of this story, the Caucasus. But why the Caucasus? What makes this region so unique? And what secrets does its DNA hold? Is it possible that the origins of Indo-European languages, spoken by billions today, can be traced back to the movements of ancient people through this mountainous terrain? Or that the genetic legacy of this region connects Europe and South Asia in ways we're only beginning to understand? These questions aren't just theoretical. Recent breakthroughs in ancient DNA studies have revealed that the Caucasus isn't merely a place on the map. It's a critical piece of the puzzle that explains how humanity spread, adapted, and thrived. From the Yamnaya pastoralists of the steppe to the Caucasus farmers who carried their traditions across vast lands, the Caucasus has been at the center of it all. And these stories aren't just ancient, they're deeply relevant today, helping us understand who we are and where we come from. So join us as we dive deep into the world of ancient migrations, decoding the genetic clues left behind by our ancestors. Together, we'll explore how the Caucasus shaped the course of human history, uncovering the incredible connections between past and present. The journey into this ancient land begins now. And trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment of this adventure. Nestled between the Black and Caspian Seas lies one of the most breathtakingly diverse regions on Earth, the Caucasus. Imagine jagged mountain peaks reaching skyward, lush valleys cradled between their slopes, and rivers carving their way through the landscape, weaving stories of civilizations past. This isn't just a place of natural beauty. It's a land of immense historical and cultural importance. For thousands of years, the Caucasus has been more than just a region. It's been a crossroads. Positioned at the juncture of Europe and Asia, the Caucasus has connected continents, fostering the exchange of ideas, technologies, and people. Its strategic location made it a gateway for human migrations, an essential artery for trade routes like the Silk Road, and a hub for cultural fusion that shaped the ancient world. But what makes the Caucasus truly remarkable is how its geography influenced its history. The towering mountain ranges, spanning over 1,100 kilometers, create both division and connection. While they served as natural barriers, they also acted as corridors, guiding the movement of ancient populations. The rivers, like the Kuban, Kara, and Araxes, nourished early agricultural communities, helping them thrive and innovate. And over time, these same features made the Caucasus a melting pot of human diversity. Archaeological discoveries reveal that this region has been continuously inhabited since the Upper Paleolithic period. As early as 6000 BCE, Neolithic farmers brought agriculture to the region, cultivating the fertile plains. By the 4th millennium BCE, two major cultural complexes emerged that would define the Caucasus: the Makop and Kara-Araxes cultures. The Makop culture, known for its opulent burial mounds, signaled a shift in social organization and technological innovation, while the Kara-Araxes culture connected the northern and southern flanks of the mountains, spreading its influence as far as the Levant and Anatolia. But the significance of the Caucasus doesn't end with its archaeological record. This region became a genetic corridor, where populations from the Eurasian steppe mingled with those from Anatolia and the Levant. Each wave of migration left its mark, creating a rich tapestry of genetic diversity that continues to fascinate researchers today. It's here that ancient DNA studies have uncovered extraordinary insights into the origins and movements of our ancestors. And yet, despite its importance, the Caucasus remains somewhat of a mystery. While its ancient cultures shaped the foundations of Eurasian civilization, much of its history is still being pieced together, story by story, gene by gene. What drove early humans to settle here? How did they interact with their neighbors? And what innovations did they carry across these rugged landscapes? These are the questions that make the Caucasus not just a region, but a key to understanding human history. The Caucasus isn't just where East meets West. It's where the past meets the present. As we dig deeper into the DNA of this region, we uncover a story of resilience, adaptation, and connection, a story that continues to evolve, just like the people who once called this land home. What makes the DNA of the Caucasus so fascinating to scientists worldwide? The answer lies in its uniqueness. Think of Caucasian DNA as a genetic time capsule, a record of migrations, cultural exchanges, and population shifts that spans tens of thousands of years. Every strand tells a story, revealing how ancient humans moved, adapted, and connected across the vast expanse of Eurasia. Recent advances in ancient DNA analysis have opened up an entirely new perspective on the region. By examining genetic material from ancient bones, researchers have been able to trace the origins of the Caucasus' diverse populations. What they've found is extraordinary, a deep and enduring genetic legacy shaped by both continuity and change. While local populations remained remarkably stable for thousands of years, the Caucasus also absorbed waves of migration from neighboring regions like Anatolia, the Levant, and the Eurasian steppe. One of the most striking discoveries comes from the two distinct genetic clusters that define the Caucasus region, the mountainous regions and the steppe. These clusters reflect not just geography, but also the lifestyles of the people who lived there. In the mountains, communities with a predominantly local genetic profile thrived, deeply connected to populations from the south, including Anatolian and Iranian farmers. Meanwhile, in the steppe, a different story unfolded. A mix of Eastern European hunter-gatherers, EHG, and Caucasus hunter-gatherers, CHG, created what scientists now refer to as steppe ancestry. This genetic clustering is like a fingerprint of the region's history. In the mountains, the local population maintained ties to the Neolithic farming communities of Anatolia, carrying the genetic signature of early agriculturalists who first domesticated crops and livestock. These farming practices spread northward, merging with the genetic makeup of the Caucasus and leaving an indelible mark. Meanwhile, the steppe zones north of the Caucasus were a different world altogether. This vast grassland became home to nomadic pastoralists who were constantly on the move. These populations, such as the Amnea, played a pivotal role in shaping the genetic profile of Europe, South Asia, and even parts of Siberia. But what makes the steppe populations of the Caucasus especially intriguing is how they blended local CHG ancestry with steppe components, forming a bridge between Europe and Asia. Beyond the mountains and steppe, there's another layer of complexity: the genetic contributions from the Near East. Migrants from the Levant and Mesopotamia brought with them not just genes but technologies and cultural practices that helped transform societies in the Caucasus. This interplay of local stability and external influences is what makes the genetic landscape of the Caucasus so rich and diverse. But this isn't just about ancient history. Even today, the genetic diversity of the Caucasus continues to reflect its role as a crossroads. Studies have shown that modern populations in the region carry markers of ancient migrations, from the farmers of the Fertile Crescent to the pastoralists of the Eurasian steppe. In many ways, the DNA of the Caucasus tells a story of human resilience, of how people adapted to their environment while remaining open to the influence of others. The richness of this genetic landscape is why scientists keep returning to the Caucasus for answers. It's a region where ancient DNA connects the dots between the past and the present, revealing how humans evolved, moved, and thrived. And as we continue to decode the genetic secrets of this remarkable land, we may uncover even more surprises, clues that could rewrite what we know about the history of humanity itself. E-migrations weren't just physical movements, they were genetic revolutions. The Yamnaya carried with them a unique genetic profile, a mixture of Eastern European hunter-gatherers, EHG, and Caucasus hunter-gatherers, CHG. This blend, now called steppe ancestry, didn't just shape the Caucasus. It also transformed the genetic makeup of Europe and South Asia. But this wasn't a one-way street. While the Yamnaya introduced steppe ancestry to the Caucasus, they also absorbed genetic influences from the region. Evidence from ancient DNA shows that during this time, populations in the Caucasus interacted extensively with their neighbors. Farmers from Anatolia and the Iranian plateau migrated into the region, bringing new genes, technologies, and ways of life. These migrants blended with local communities, creating a rich mosaic of genetic diversity. One fascinating example of this genetic exchange comes from the Makop culture, which flourished in the Caucasus during the early Bronze Age. Known for its elaborate burial mounds and advanced metalwork, the Makop culture was a hub of innovation and connectivity. Recent studies suggest that the Makop people had strong genetic ties to populations in Anatolia and the Levant, indicating a flow of people and ideas across vast distances. It's even possible that Makop played a role in transmitting early technologies, such as wheeled transport and metal alloys, to the Eurasian steppe. As we move into the Middle Bronze Age, the genetic landscape of the Caucasus becomes even more dynamic. This was a period marked by increased interactions between the Caucasus and surrounding regions. For example, the Caucasus culture, which spanned both sides of the Caucasus Mountains, spread its influence far and wide, from the Levant to Mesopotamia and beyond. Genetic evidence reveals that this culture facilitated the movement of people, goods, and ideas, connecting the Caucasus to a vast network of civilizations. By the late Bronze Age, we see the emergence of even more complex patterns of migration and gene flow. The spread of steppe ancestry into Central Europe and South Asia during this time is one of the most significant migration events in human history. And the Caucasus was at the heart of this story. As a corridor between the steppe and the Near East, it played a crucial role in shaping the genetic and cultural makeup of these regions. But the story doesn't end there. As we examine the genetic data from this period, we find subtle but significant traces of gene flow from the south, likely from Anatolia and Mesopotamia, into the Caucasus. This genetic exchange wasn't just about the movement of people. It also reflected the spread of cultural practices, such as farming techniques and metallurgical innovations, which transformed societies in the region. What makes the Caucasus so remarkable is how it functioned as a two-way bridge. It wasn't just a destination for migrants. It was also a source of people and ideas that spread outward. From the Bronze Age to the Iron Age and beyond, the Caucasus remained a dynamic center of human migration and exchange. Today, by studying the DNA of ancient individuals from this region, we're able to reconstruct these incredible journeys. Each strand of DNA is like a thread, weaving together a story of movement, connection, and transformation. And as we continue to explore the genetic legacy of the Caucasus, we uncover more evidence of how this region shaped the course of human history. The origins of the languages we speak today have long been one of the most captivating mysteries of human history. And at the heart of this linguistic puzzle lies a profound connection to the Caucasus. Could this mountainous region hold the key to understanding the spread of Proto-Indo-European PIE languages, the ancient linguistic family that gave rise to most modern European and South Asian tongues? The story begins thousands of years ago, during the early Bronze Age, when steppe pastoralists from the Yamnaya culture began to migrate across Eurasia. These migrations weren't just physical. They carried with them the roots of the Proto-Indo-European language family. As they expanded westward into Europe and eastward into South Asia, they left a linguistic and genetic legacy that continues to shape our world today. But how does the Caucasus fit into this story? Recent genetic studies have revealed that the Caucasus was much more than a passive witness to these migrations. It played an active role as a conduit, shaping both the genetic and cultural profile of the Yamnaya people. The DNA of Yamnaya individuals reveals a fascinating mix. Roughly half of their ancestry comes from Eastern European hunter-gatherers, EHG, while the other half is derived from the Caucasus hunter-gatherers, CHG. This blend of steppe and Caucasus ancestry is what makes the Yamnaya unique, and what ties them so closely to the story of Indo-European expansion. But the influence of the Caucasus didn't stop at genetics. Archaeological evidence suggests that the region also played a critical role in cultural exchanges that shaped the early Yamnaya. Innovations such as the wheel, wagon, and metallurgy, which revolutionized transportation and warfare, may have originated in the broader Caucasus region before spreading to the steppe. These technologies enabled the Yamnaya to travel farther and faster, facilitating their rapid expansion across Europe and Asia. One of the most intriguing aspects of this story is the potential link between the Caucasus and the earliest Indo-European languages. Some theories suggest that the Proto-Indo-European homeland might have been located in or near the Caucasus, given the region's central role in genetic and cultural exchanges. Others propose that the Caucasus served as a secondary hub, where steppe pastoralists interacted with populations from Anatolia, Mesopotamia, and the Iranian plateau. These interactions could have influenced the linguistic diversity of the region, contributing to the branching out of Indo-European languages. But what about the languages themselves? The spread of Indo-European languages can be traced through a combination of genetic, archaeological, and linguistic evidence. For example, the westward movement of Yamnaya pastoralists into Europe is linked to the emergence of cultures such as the corded ware and bell beaker, both of which are associated with the spread of Indo-European languages. Similarly, their eastward expansion into South Asia coincides with the rise of the Indo-Iranian branch of this linguistic family. The Caucasus also offers clues to the branching patterns of Indo-European languages. Some of the earliest branches, such as Anatolian and Tocharian, might reflect ancient migrations that passed through or originated in the region. The spread of these languages highlights the Caucasus' role as a bridge between East and West, a place where ideas, people, and languages converged. However, the story of Indo-European expansion is far from straightforward. The Caucasus wasn't just a one-way corridor. It was a dynamic zone of interaction, where populations from the steppe, Anatolia, and Mesopotamia exchanged not only genes, but also ideas and cultural practices. This complex web of interactions adds depth to our understanding of how languages evolved and spread across continents. Today, thanks to advances in archaeogenetics, we're closer than ever to unraveling the mysteries of Proto-Indo-European expansion. The DNA of ancient individuals from the Caucasus and steppe regions continues to provide invaluable insights, connecting the dots between linguistic history, genetic ancestry, and cultural innovation. And while we may not have all the answers yet, one thing is clear. The Caucasus is a crucial piece of the puzzle, offering a glimpse into the deep past of human migration and communication. As we explore the genetic and cultural history of this region, we're not just uncovering the roots of Indo-European languages. We're uncovering the story of how humans moved, interacted, and built the foundations of the modern world. As the ancient world gave way to the tumultuous period of late antiquity, the Caucasus found itself at the heart of significant changes, both genetic and cultural. Between the collapse of the Western Roman Empire and the dawn of the early medieval period, this region became a focal point for new waves of migration, the rise of urban centers, and the spread of transformative ideologies like Christianity. The genetic legacy of these shifts is written in the DNA of individuals who lived during this fascinating time. By late antiquity, beginning around the 1st century AD, the Caucasus had become a crossroads for populations moving from the south, east, and west. Ancient DNA studies reveal that urban centers in eastern Georgia began to attract individuals with distinct southern ancestries. These people likely migrated from regions like Anatolia and the Levant, bringing with them not only new genetic lineages, but also cultural and religious practices. One of the most striking shifts during this period was the rise of Christianity, which began to take root in the Caucasus. Georgia, in particular, became one of the earliest countries to adopt Christianity as its state religion in the 4th century AD. The establishment of churches and monastic centers in urban areas coincided with an influx of southern genetic influences as religious and cultural exchanges intensified between the Caucasus and the Eastern Roman Empire. But these migrations didn't just bring new religions. They also brought new ways of life. The urban centers of the Caucasus became melting pots where local populations mixed with newcomers, creating a vibrant blend of cultures. This genetic and cultural fusion is reflected in the diversity of burial practices from this time, which often combine local traditions with influences from the wider Mediterranean world. By the early medieval period, beginning around 400 AD, another fascinating development began to emerge: the appearance of individuals with Central Eurasian steppe ancestry. These new arrivals were part of the broader migrations that characterized the so-called migration period across Europe and Asia. In the Caucasus, they left an indelible mark, not only through their genes, but also through their cultural practices. One of the most intriguing cultural markers of this period is artificial cranial deformation, ACD. This practice, in which the skulls of infants were intentionally reshaped during early childhood, has been found in several burial sites across the Caucasus. Interestingly, while some individuals with ACD have clear genetic links to steppe populations, others appear to have descended from native South Caucasian groups. This suggests that the adoption of ACD wasn't limited to migrants. It was also embraced by local communities, likely as a way to signify status or cultural identity. These findings reveal a complex picture of cultural exchange and adaptation. The Caucasus wasn't just a passive recipient of outside influences. It was an active participant in shaping the cultural dynamics of the region. Migrants brought new ideas, traditions, and genetic lineages, but they also integrated into local societies, creating a unique blend of continuity and change. As we move deeper into the early medieval period, the genetic landscape of the Caucasus continues to evolve. The DNA of individuals from this time shows evidence of both stability and flux. While the core genetic profile of the region's populations remained rooted in their ancient ancestry, they also absorbed new influences from the surrounding world. This dynamic interplay of local persistence and external migration is what makes the Caucasus such a fascinating region for understanding human history. Today, as researchers analyze the genomes of individuals from late antiquity and the early medieval period, they are uncovering stories of resilience, adaptation, and transformation. These stories remind us that the Caucasus has always been more than just a geographic region. It has been a living, breathing crossroads of humanity, where the past and the future converge. As we move forward in time, past the Bronze and Iron Ages, the Caucasus continues to stand at the center of pivotal historical changes. By the 1st century AD, the region was no longer just a crossroads for ancient migrations. It had become a melting pot of cultures and civilizations. From the fall of the Western Roman Empire to the rise of Christianity in the East, this era, known as late antiquity, marked a transformative period in the genetic and cultural history of the Caucasus. One of the most intriguing discoveries from this period is the increasing presence of Southern ancestry in the genetic profiles of individuals buried in urban centers, particularly in eastern Georgia. This suggests a growing connection between the Caucasus and regions further south, such as Anatolia and the Levant. These genetic traces align with historical records that document the spread of early Christianity throughout the region. By the late 1st century AD, Christianity began taking root in the Caucasus, especially in Georgia, where it would become a defining feature of cultural identity. But what was driving this genetic influx from the south? Part of the answer lies in the rise of urbanization. As cities in the Caucasus grew into hubs of commerce and religion, they attracted people from neighboring regions, creating a flow of migrants that left a lasting imprint on the local gene pool. These newcomers didn't just bring their DNA. They brought ideas, traditions, and technologies that reshaped life in the Caucasus. The early medieval period, beginning around 400 AD, brought new layers of complexity to this already dynamic region. One of the most striking findings from this time is the discovery of individuals with Central Eurasian steppe ancestry, people who were likely part of the larger migratory movements occurring during the so-called migration period. These migrations, spurred by the collapse of empires and shifting power dynamics, carried waves of people into the Caucasus, altering its genetic landscape once again. What's particularly fascinating is that some of these individuals displayed evidence of artificial cranial deformation, ACD, a cultural practice involving the intentional shaping of the skull during infancy. While this might seem unusual to us today, ACD was a widespread custom among steppe populations and served as a marker of identity and status. What's even more surprising, though, is that ACD wasn't confined to migrants. Genetic evidence shows that many individuals with cranial deformations in the Caucasus were actually descended from native populations. This suggests that the practice was adopted locally, blending steppe cultural traditions with those of the Caucasus. This era also saw the Caucasus acting as a bridge between larger civilizations. Trade routes connecting the Byzantine Empire, Persia, and the Eurasian steppes passed through this region, bringing with them not just goods but also people. Each of these interactions added new threads to the region's genetic tapestry, creating a rich and diverse population that reflected influences from all directions. But alongside this diversity, there was continuity. Despite waves of migration and cultural exchange, the core genetic profile of the Caucasus, rooted in its ancient populations, remained largely intact. This speaks to the resilience of the local gene pool, which managed to absorb outside influences while retaining its unique identity. The late antiquity and early medieval periods were times of profound change, but they also highlight the enduring role of the Caucasus as a meeting point of civilizations. It was a place where empires collided, religions spread, and cultures intertwined, leaving behind a genetic legacy that continues to shape the region today. And as we study the DNA of individuals from this period, we gain more than just insight into the past. We uncover a story of adaptation, exchange, and resilience, a story that reminds us how interconnected human history truly is. The story of the Caucasus isn't just about ancient migrations or cultural exchanges. It's about understanding who we are as a species and how we've shaped the world we live in today. The DNA preserved in the bones of individuals who lived thousands of years ago offers more than just a glimpse into the past. It provides answers to some of humanity's most profound questions. Why did we migrate? How did civilizations rise and fall? And what connects us across continents and centuries? When we study the genetic legacy of the Caucasus, we uncover a narrative that links diverse regions and peoples. This isn't just a local history, it's a global story. The Caucasus stands as a bridge between Europe and Asia, a place where steppe nomads, Anatolian farmers, and Mesopotamian innovators met and mingled. The genetic evidence reveals that these interactions weren't isolated events. They were a part of larger patterns that shaped the course of human history. Take, for example, the spread of Indo-European languages, which are spoken by billions of people today. The genetic and cultural exchanges facilitated by the Caucasus played a crucial role in this linguistic expansion. Without the genetic blending of steppe pastoralists and local populations, this massive linguistic and cultural shift might never have occurred. It's a reminder of how interconnected we've always been, even in the ancient past. But the importance of studying ancient DNA goes beyond tracing migrations or understanding language families. It helps us see how humans adapted to their environments and overcame challenges. For instance, the influx of Anatolian farming communities into the Caucasus wasn't just a movement of people, it was a transfer of knowledge. These early farmers brought with them agricultural techniques that transformed how humans lived, enabling larger populations to thrive in previously inhospitable regions. The genetic record also sheds light on the resilience of the Caucasian populations. Despite waves of migration and cultural change, the local gene pool has remained remarkably stable over millennia. This stability, combined with the region's genetic diversity, highlights the adaptability of human societies and their ability to integrate new influences while preserving their unique identities. But perhaps the most powerful implication of this research is what it tells us about human connection. The story of the Caucasus is a story of shared ancestry, of people meeting and mingling, exchanging ideas and innovations. It reminds us that the divisions we see today, borders, languages, and cultures, are relatively recent. In the grand scheme of history, we're far more alike than we are different, and the lessons don't stop there. Understanding ancient migrations can also help us address contemporary challenges. As scientists study the spread of diseases, the development of resistance to environmental changes, or the origins of certain genetic traits, they often turn to ancient DNA for clues. By unraveling the genetic history of regions like the Caucasus, we gain insights that could shape the future of medicine, agriculture, and even climate adaptation. In many ways, the Caucasus serves as a microcosm of humanity itself. It's a place where cultures clashed and collaborated, where migrations reshaped societies, and where innovation flourished. And the genetic legacy of this region continues to inform how we understand the broader patterns of human history. So why does this matter? Because the DNA of the Caucasus holds more than just historical significance. It holds the story of how humanity evolved, adapted, and thrived. And as we uncover more about this region's past, we're reminded that history isn't just something we leave behind. It's something we carry with us in every gene, in every culture, and in every connection that binds us together. Why does the study of ancient DNA from the Caucasus matter? Why should we care about migrations that happened thousands of years ago, or the genetic markers buried in ancient bones? The answer lies in the incredible impact these discoveries have on how we understand ourselves, our history, our cultures, and even the very languages we speak. The Caucasus is more than just a region. It's a living timeline, one that bridges the ancient and modern worlds. By analyzing its genetic landscape, scientists have uncovered patterns of migration and exchange that connect continents, reshape our understanding of ancient civilizations, and explain how humanity evolved across millennia. One of the most profound implications of these studies is their ability to uncover the origins of population diversity. Today, we live in a world shaped by movement, people migrating across borders, exchanging ideas and cultures. But these patterns aren't new. The DNA of the Caucasus reveals that even in ancient times, human history was defined by interaction and exchange. Farmers from Anatolia, pastoralists from the steppe, and traders from Mesopotamia all left their genetic fingerprints on this region. Understanding these migrations doesn't just reveal the history of the Caucasus, it tells us something fundamental about the human experience. These studies also help us solve some of history's greatest mysteries. For instance, the spread of Indo-European languages, which today form the basis of many modern tongues, can be traced back to the movements of populations through the Caucasus and the Eurasian steppe. This linguistic legacy connects billions of people across Europe, South Asia, and beyond. By understanding how these languages spread, we gain insight into the cultural and technological innovations, like the domestication of horses, the use of the wheel, and the development of metal tools, that transformed early societies. But there's more. The genetic evidence from the Caucasus also highlights the complexity of human identity. It shows that the idea of distinct, isolated populations is a myth. Human history has always been one of blending, borrowing, and adapting. The people of the Caucasus didn't just absorb influences from their neighbors, they contributed to them. The technologies and traditions that spread from the Caucasus influenced cultures as far away as Europe, the Middle East, and South Asia. In many ways, the region was a cultural and genetic engine, driving progress and innovation. Another significant implication of this research is its ability to challenge historical narratives. Ancient DNA provides a direct, unbiased record of the past, often confirming or contradicting what we've learned from archaeology and written records. For example, the discovery of artificial cranial deformation, ACD, in both steppe migrants and native Caucasian populations tells a story of cultural exchange and adoption that historical records alone could never reveal. These findings remind us that history is not a single story. It's a complex tapestry woven from countless threads. Finally, studying the genetic history of the Caucasus helps us understand modern populations. Many of the genetic markers found in ancient samples are still present in the people living in this region today. This continuity speaks to the resilience of the Caucasus local gene pool, which has survived millennia of migrations, conflicts, and cultural shifts. It's a powerful reminder of how deeply connected we are to our ancestors, and how much we can learn by exploring their stories. In a time when the world often feels divided, the story of the Caucasus offers a lesson in unity. It shows us that human history is one of connection, of people coming together, exchanging ideas, and building something greater than themselves. The DNA of the Caucasus holds more than just genetic information. It holds the story of humanity itself. As scientists continue to uncover the secrets of this region, one thing becomes clear. The past is not as distant as it seems. The migrations, innovations, and exchanges that shaped the Caucasus also shaped the world we live in today. And as we look to the future, the lessons of this ancient land remind us of our shared origins and the incredible power of connection. The story of the Caucasus is far from complete. For all the discoveries we've made, from tracing ancient migrations to uncovering the roots of Indo-European languages, this region continues to hold secrets that challenge our understanding of the past. It's a land where history isn't just written in monuments or artifacts. It's inscribed in the DNA of the people who lived here. What makes the Caucasus so extraordinary is its ability to connect the dots between distant worlds. It's where farmers from Anatolia met herders from the steppe, where ideas traveled as freely as people, and where cultures blended to create something entirely new. But for every answer we've uncovered, more questions emerge. How exactly did the technologies that defined the Bronze Age, like the wheel and metallurgy, spread from this region to the rest of the ancient world? What role did the Caucasus play in shaping the societies of the Near East, Europe, and Central Asia? And what can we learn from the subtle shifts in genetic ancestry that mark the rise and fall of ancient empires? Even with today's cutting-edge technology, the mysteries of the Caucasus remind us that the past is never static. For example, while we've mapped the major genetic clusters of the region, the exact details of how these populations interacted remain a puzzle. The discovery of artificial cranial deformation (ACD) in both migrants and local groups raises fascinating questions about cultural exchange, identity, and the ways people adapted to changing worlds. The Caucasus also challenges our assumptions about migration. It wasn't just a corridor for people passing through. It was a destination, a melting pot, and a source of innovation. By studying the genetic clues left behind, we're beginning to see the full complexity of human movement, not as a single wave, but as an intricate web of interactions spanning thousands of years. But perhaps the most profound mystery is what's still waiting to be discovered. New archaeological digs and advancements in DNA sequencing are constantly revealing fresh insights, reshaping the story of the Caucasus and its role in human history. Each bone, each artifact, each strand of DNA adds another piece to the puzzle. And while we may never have all the answers, the journey of uncovering them is just as important. It reminds us that history is not just something to be studied. It's something to be experienced, to be felt. It connects us to the people who came before us, showing us how their lives shaped our world today. So, as we conclude this exploration, one thing is certain. The Caucasus is not just a region. It's a living, breathing testament to the resilience and interconnectedness of humanity. Its DNA holds the keys to stories yet untold, waiting for us to discover, understand, and share. What other secrets might this ancient land hold? And how will those secrets change what we think we know about our shared past? The answers are out there, buried in the mountains, valleys, and ancient bones of the Caucasus. And as science advances, we're only just beginning to unlock them. The mystery of the Caucasus is far from fully solved, but that's what makes it so exciting. The more we learn, the more we realize there's so much more to discover. The past is calling, and the story of the Caucasus is one that will continue to unfold, revealing the incredible connections that define us all.